I'm Michael Wang, and I have created a chess game for my final project. And so it's 450 something lines of code, and let's see how it works. So first, I have programmed for all the general rules. For example, pawn can move twice in the first step or once. The bishops move diagonally. If it's an illegal move, it doesn't allow you to move. If you jump over pieces, it doesn't allow you to do so either. And you you're if it's black turn right now, and if you make white move again, for example, if I make it capture the bishop, it won't allow me to. But if the bishop capture the pawn, it does. And so also I have programmed for the pawn when it can move one step and two steps. It captures diagonally. It doesn't capture vertically. It captures diagonally, and all the other things. I haven't programmed for check or in persona or any other special rules yet. And you can capture king, but so that I didn't really have much time to work on that stuff. So 3 problems that I have encountered is first to actually make the pieces. And so first I went online and to chess.com. That's one of the sources I've used, and so I get the pictures of the pieces. I used a special font, I forgot what it was, but so for the black square I make it the green, for the white square I make it the white, and when you click on a piece it has the highlight. So for white square they have this light yellow highlight, and if it's a black square it has this a little light green highlight. And so if you move to and if you make a move, the initial position and its destination position all have the highlight at the background, and I programmed for that too. I first copied it from chess.com, and then over here I programmed for it over here. Also, I copied all the pieces from chess.com, and I used it in Photoshop and made the background transparent. Right, and also, I'm excited about this.
Because you already have everything. Because like your bullet has an image and a rep. So which one of those do you need to adjust if you want to select the select, or do you need to adjust the image or the rep?
The second problem that I've encountered is when I was trying to make it object oriented, it didn't really work for me, because if I actually make it object for example, if I have a knight object or a bishop object or a rook object, etc. When I put the actual object in the array, first it makes it too long because I have too many parameters for each object, and also it doesn't depend, the location of the object doesn't depend on the location in the array. So for example, if I make it a rook object, in say if it's a this part, I have to say initial location, destination location, and no, I don't think I need that, but and it object, color and other stuff. But the problem is that its initial location does not depend on the location in the array. I have to manually give it the location. I have to manually say it's 0,0, which defeat the purpose of using an array. So I got rid of that, and I just defined each piece separately, and I used capital letters for white pieces and lowercase letters for black pieces, and so that's how I solved this problem. And my final major problem is for the human computer interface. So first I imported Pygame way up top, and then I created all the screen, I created all the necessary stuff, and I created two arrays. The first one is called board. It is just when you run it, it's just this black and white background. This black and white background, the 8 by 8 squares. And the second array is called board pieces. That's the actual pieces on the array, the rook, the knight, the bishop, etc. And if there's no piece, I call it E for empty. So yeah, and then to solve this, I have to actually check for the actual root of each piece. And so if it's a rook, then I have to program for a rook check. And for the rook check, I have to define way up here. Yeah. And for rook check, for rook capture, define rook capture. I have to define all these captures because I have to define if the king is in check. And if it's in check, it can't move to a place where the king is. It can't. Well, if the king is in check currently, it can't allow you to make any other moves other than to not let the king be in check. So that's what this is for. But then for this, I have to say if each piece is able to capture the king, and for that part, I have to just define what each piece checks and if the captures. So I have defined them separately. For the pawn promotion, I have tried, but I make them act down here in the console, and it doesn't work up in the top. So it didn't really work the way I wanted to. The check didn't really work either. I haven't debugged it yet. But anyway, I have to define the check of each pawn. For example, the pawn check if it's white turn, and then all the special rules if it can move twice. Yeah, and that's how I solved it. And then so also for the bishop and the rook and the queen, it can't jump over pieces. I have to program for that too. So for example, if I move it here, it's legal. But then if I move it here, it's not legal. So I have to program for that, and if that's here, I think I can delete these extra lines, but yeah. So a clear diagonal. So first, what I did was let's use the example of a bishop. Well, let me just let you see the black part first. Yeah. So white turn, now it's black turn. Okay. And then now the bishop. If the absolute value of the destination minus initial is not equal to the absolute value, so that's the check if it's on the same line. So if I move here and I move it here, it doesn't work. Also, so next, I say if it's square, it's plus this other square. Destination sub 0 minus initial sub 0 squared plus destination sub the squared minus initial sub 0 squared is equal to 2. So that's a check if it's like right next to it, then it's able to move, return true. If it's not, then I use the recursion. So I say if the destination is greater, so if it's in this direction, if it's to the right and to the below the bishop current position, I set the template position to over here, and I run a recursion loop so that it runs this entire clear diagonal again over here, and also with in the opposite direction, white turn, black turn, white turn. So if it's in this direction, I also make check for that too. If it's in all different directions, I check for it in all directions. So yeah, and for the rook, the same thing. I have the clear line that say if the initial position is greater than the final position, I adjust the template starting point accordingly, and I run the same thing. For example, the rook cannot eat its own pieces. It can't jump over the pieces. It can eat this piece. Now the king is in check, and so I have to move, and yeah. So that's how I check for if the pieces cannot jump over other pieces. That that's the main problem that I have to solve. And so essential skills to be able to solve this issue is first you have to have knowledge of Python and being object oriented, and you have to work well with Photoshop in order to do all these pictures. And for me, I consulted a couple of different sources. First, I used Stack Exchange, Stack Overflow so I can search up some of the problems that I've encountered, and when I get some weird bug, I can easily get it solved. The second source that I've used is first I searched up a couple of online resources like this one. This one is actually I searched up in the beginning of my commitment to this project. I have first searched up a couple of sample codes, and then I see right here it said April the 1st, so I've started this a little bit earlier than most people did. So at first I searched up some sample programs, and I get some ideas from them. I didn't copy, of course, but I get some of my ideas from them, and so that's my second source. Third, I give thanks to my father for helping me with some of the coding. He used to be an engineer at Bell's Laboratory when it was like really good, so he knows a bit of coding. He doesn't really know Python. He used to program in C, but he's retired right now. So, but he was still able to help me a bit, such as the recording part. This recording part, he taught me about this. I didn't even thought about it, but it was he who taught me to use this recursion to check for the clear diagonal, and he helped me with a little bit of other stuff. He caught a couple of bugs. So in the beginning, when it was like this, right here, before the pawn can actually move 2 steps and jump over here, but he caught this bug, and I fixed it later. So he helped me a lot, and yeah, so that's chess.